This is the drone that have been breaking headlines recently, all for this new unique floatable ability. And this is the DJI FLIP. It has this and many more incredible features. For us hobbyists, this is an incredible value drone because we have the same sensor that's found on the DJI Mini 3 and Pro, which means it could shoot 4K at 60 FPS or 100. Great for slow motion action films. And as a consumer hobbyist, this weighs under the 250 grams FAA requirement, so you do not have to register this drone. So if you picked one up, here's everything you need to know from the very beginning all the way to the more complex stuff, and this complete guide on everything you need to know about this amazing floatable drone. And we'll be covering everything from its AI hands control all the way to the 2 different controller options that we have. So of course, timestamps and everything are in the description down below for your pleasure. Let's start off with the basics, and that is just turning on and off the drone. Of course, this drone immediately will turn on and turn off as soon as you float it.
Power off in 5 seconds.
Now this is super useful and annoying to some, but don't worry, you can actually disable the auto turn on and off ability, so you can solely rely on the power button right here next to the battery indicator. Which, real quick, by simply tapping it once, this will show you your real-time battery life stats utilizing the LED lights. So obviously we have all 4 LEDs illuminating. That means we are still around 100%. So if you wish to turn off the automatic turn on as soon as the drone unfolds, by quickly turning on the DJI remote. This doesn't matter if you're using the non-screen version or the screen version. As soon as you connect this to your smartphone and launch the app, the process is exactly similar. So for our video references, we're just going to use this screen since it's much bigger than my iPhone 16 Pro. So to do this, simply tap on the dot icon on the side. In the safety tab, scroll down and look for the power on or power off setting. And you could adjust it to your own personal preference. But the beauty about disabling the fold arms to power off is, the cool trick is by folding the drone, our drone is turned on. Which means I could switch the video and just hit record, and I could treat this like a quick handheld gimbal in case I forget to bring extra equipment with me. So yeah, you can actually operate this drone with this setting as a quick handheld gimbal and record your B-roll shots and then end recording just like so. But now, if you like to turn this drone off, simply just tap on the power button once and then long hold until the LED lights completely turns off. And now our drone is manually turned off. And you can also do this if you disable the auto fold on to turn on as well. Tap once and long hold, it'll turn it off. Now this gimbal guard and the silicone. The silicone is kind of optional to use. I personally don't like using this as much. I'd much rather just use the gimbal guard itself. And it simply just attaches on like so, of course. But if you look closely, there's plenty of room for this gimbal to automatically move around in case you do forget to remove it after you turn on your drone. So in a sense, it is dummy proof, as it won't lock up your gimbal, so you don't have to reboot it and start over. Just remember, is to remove this before you power on your drone by unfolding it if you have that setting still enabled. Because even though there's a lot of playroom inside this gimbal guard, it'll easily cause the camera to overheat and lock up. And of course, you don't want to block the object avoidance sensor on top of here. Now on the other side of the drone, you'll find a mode select button right next to your SD card. By tapping this, and you quickly view the front sensor, it'll indicate all 6 different modes that this drone has.
Rocket, spotlight, direction track.
And when you operate the drone this way, it will solely rely on its AI abilities to follow you to create some epic shots. But by simply selecting one of these modes, just long hold the side button, the mode button, for 3 seconds until it starts doing like a countdown. Drone will automatically take off and will begin doing whatever mode you selected, all automatically. And to land the aircraft, just place your palm right underneath while it's hovering. Once it's done with a trick shot, it will automatically just land like so. But in case you made a mistake and you want to cancel the takeoff counter, just quickly tap the same button again, it will cancel it. And it allows you to select the correct one, and then you can allow it to take off. But now let's go ahead and go more in depth about the DJI remote app. So here's our DJI remote app. Very simple. On top, battery life stats, your Wi-Fi connectivity, and this little red icon with the arrow, that's the status of your object avoidance sensor. And outside here, you have the ability to move the gimbal up and down, launch full screen mode for your viewfinder, and here you have the ability to select between all those other modes we were talking about, including manual mode. When manual mode is selected, from here you can just long hold and it will automatically cause the drone to take off. And here you can adjust the camera settings. You also have access to voice commands as well, which you could command the drone to take off, which I don't want to do right now. Yeah, if you notice, if you ever do like a false launch or you want to quickly turn off the drone, just grab it and flip it upside down. It'll cause the drone to immediately turn off. But again, to view the complete list of voice commands, just tap on it right here, click on check settings, and it'll give you the list of voice commands right here. You could decide if you like to leave this on or off. So the wake up word would be hey fly.
Waiting for your command.
But you could say follow, circle, spotlight, drone, rocket, and etc. But exiting out of here, next to that is a microphone icon, which will utilize the microphone that's paired to your phone or your built-in mic to your phone, and it will use unique software to eliminate the propeller sounds from your audio, and it works surprisingly very well. And this is how the microphone sounds like, and keep in mind this drone has some really like whiny propellers, so I'm actually quite impressed how good the microphone quality is when I'm using something like my phone. But in case you notice, it makes your voice tone sound a little bit too robotically. By tapping in settings and going into app recording, you can select between a natural tone or a pure tone. And this is the microphone quality in natural. This is basically the setting that I typically like using. It just sounds really great, but for pure, here's how that sounds like. Here is the pure microphone quality. Again, performs really great. Just pure, I don't know, it sounds a little bit too much. It's overloaded with software. But if you're using like a DJI mic like I have on my chest right now, you can have it paired this way as well with those two different modes. And now back to this page, if you like to switch from video to photo, you could just tap the little camera icon on the side right here, and it will immediately switch. And of course you have your camera settings. Now one important thing about connecting your drone to the Wi-Fi app on your iPhone, it connects via Wi-Fi and that's it. So it relies on Wi-Fi connectivity, which is why it's super important to understand the risks that may take place. So when you connect to it with the app, there's no return to home option, where the drone will utilize GPS as an example to fly back where it last took off in case you lose connection. Which is why I highly recommend, or at least just be aware of this, if you fly over like a large body of water and you lose Wi-Fi connection, that drone is just gonna hover there until the batteries die and land in the water. As the Wi-Fi connection can only go up to 165 feet if we're talking about freedom measurements. In other words, 50 meters in other places. But if you have to absolutely fly within Wi-Fi, don't let it go too far from you. And if you do lose connection, so long as you're on land, be prepared to walk up to it. But if you're flying within like line of sight, pretty close by, yeah, you'll be perfectly fine. Just keep that in mind. Or you may end up swimming just to get an established connection back to your phone, to your drone. Now with all the footage and stuff that you recorded from the drone, if you like to transfer it to your SD card, of course, you can always do it via Wi-Fi by just selecting the album right here and select download. But I find a faster method when you're using a USB-C to USB-C. So long as your phone supports it, you can literally just plug in a USB cable and go ahead and turn off the drone. And literally just plug it into your drone. And on your mobile device, just launch the folder or files app. And you should see the SD card or the drone internal storage right here. Just select the SD card if you're using an SD card on your drone. And you can literally just go in here and download the files from here. And honestly, this is a much faster method than relying on the Wi-Fi, as videos literally transfer in a couple of seconds versus several minutes if you're recording like long 4K videos. And then, before we carry on, if you could take 2 seconds to hit that like button and like, I'll really appreciate it, because I don't have any sponsors in my videos because I like to keep my videos powered by you guys. So if you also enjoy these type of no integrated ad videos, be sure to just take 2 seconds to hit that like button and like. That truly does help out the channel and also allows others to also find this video easier, so they can also be informed on how to use their drone to its full potential. But now let's carry on, because now let's talk about more in depth about these 6 different modes that are available in terms of like follow mode, and all these modes. Basically, this is how they all look like. And if you look closely, some of these modes, they do have the ability to be fully customized, as you can select the distance for your follow if you want to be close, medium, or far. You can also use voice commands again to tell it to be further out or come closer. Droning has some unique abilities as well. As you can control like the maximum distance, circles. Also has the ability as well if you wanted a flat or low height. Rocket, you do have the ability to adjust the maximum height, and spotlight will just keep track of you regardless of what you're doing. But now if you like to do the forward facing follow shot that I was creating earlier, that is actually customizable in the direction tracking. Because if we select direction tracking and you select the little settings that you have, you can not only adjust the follow distance if you want it low, flat, or high, but by starting with the subject in frame in front of the subject, it will actually follow, creating this like follow shot. That's how you can succeed the follow shot to be facing you instead of traditionally facing in the back. Just get in front of it, hit record, and now the drone will just follow me forward, just like so. And it'll just continue keeping the subject in frame. Well, it'll try as much as possible. It's right in front of us, still. And it works pretty well. Again, you go in the settings and adjust it if you want a low height, normal height, or very high height. Now the benefits of having this controller connected to your drone is you unlock its top speed ability. You cannot accomplish the top speed without the controller because this drone can also go up to 35 miles per hour, depending on weather conditions, of course. You cannot do that with the Wi-Fi app. But turning on this controller by simply tapping once and long hold to power on the controller and unfolding the antennas. After you immediately connect to the drone, have it paired to the controller of choice you're using, connect to the aircraft. The quick control layout is basically this. You're able to not only use the little roller over here to control the gimbal, but you may also long hold on the screen and move the gimbal up and down this way as well. And if you select, or you can also tap this corner over here and change like the camera resolution right here on the fly. And next to that is the internal storage as well as the SD card storage amount that you have remaining, including your time you have left in recording with that setting you selected. And then simply just tap on the little camera icon to switch between. So like over here, this will be our camera setting where we have the ability to change the ISO and everything else. And the return to home is available right here when we have it connected to our remote. So if you do lose signal or visual of the drone, just tap here, it'll send the drone to automatically go back. And if you are relying on return to home, I highly recommend at least going into the settings real quick and go in safety and scroll down till you find auto return to home altitude. Adjust the height to your personal preference. I like to adjust it at least high enough to clear trees and buildings. So around 300 plus feet is typically the safe spot, which will cause the drone to fly up first before it just automatically flies back so it doesn't collide or get stuck somewhere. But in case there is a large object in front of it, on top here, you can make sure that you have brake enabled. So if there's a tree in the way, it will automatically stop versus if you have it off, it will just collide into it. Now there are some preference style selected in this remote where if you tap style, for instance, not only will you find those camera settings that we went over earlier, but this is where you can find the grid lines. If you don't want a grid, you can turn it off completely, or you can enable rule of third or a single dot in the center. You can also enable exposure warnings as well if you have your ISO too high, and your white balance as well. But in the style, this is where you can select between if you want to maximize the sharpness or reduce noise. So if you're shooting in a low light environment, it's good to come back here and actually adjust it to reduce the noise. But now let's say for instance, you do manage to crash your drone and you lost it somewhere, but you're nearby the map location it's showing you, which by the way, if you want this little compass layout, all you need to do is just tap on the little arrow. It'll automatically switch just like that to the different modes that it has. But if you're near your drone and you're having a hard time locating it because it crashed into a bush, for instance, by tapping the little dot icon and go into safety and scroll all the way down, there's a Find My Drone feature. By selecting here, you can start this section where it will start flashing and beeping the drone to help locate it faster on your rescue. Think of this like the Find My feature on our phone, which will allow the drone to play a loud sound so it can help you locate it faster. But overall, this is such an amazing drone. I highly recommend picking this up. And if you're debating between getting the Fly More combo, I recommend getting the Fly More combo. I didn't. I'm still waiting on the battery pack though. However, it just hasn't arrived for some reason. My drone got delivered, but not the battery pack. But if it's very similar to like the DJI Neo, the battery pack actually has a USB-C port, which if you plug in and you connect to your device, by single tapping and long holding, this will cause the battery pack to actually charge your phone via USB-C. So anything that supports USB-C, you could use it to charge from the battery pack to your phone. Or you can use your phone to charge the battery pack this way as well. With this battery pack, this allows the batteries to charge all together all at once simultaneously. But other than that, there you guys have it. That is everything you need to know about flying this drone, all its unique features that it has. And lastly, again, in case of emergency, you need to grab this drone out of the air. Just grab it and flip it upside down. It'll cause the motors to turn off, so you can safely just prevent it from like crashing into someone or something. But there you guys have it. Now you are a pro when it comes to using your DJI FLIP to its full potential. In case I did forget something, or you'd like to share something of your own you'd like us to also be aware of, feel free to comment down below and let us know. Thank you so much for watching.